Promises of deity and the royal succession, benefits we see, divine intervention, witnessed and verified through each capitulo. Our faith tested, tried, the promises will flow. When you chase your dreams, your imagination streams.
Glorious Estoliana, the only thing that surpasses the beauty of this land is the vision of loveliness she encompasses when first viewed by the light of dawn. When possible, therefore, visitors should be first introduced to Estolia wearing her finest raiment, dawn, to create a memory over all other memories, one to warm their heart all the days of their lives. Ferdinand Plavius Zakarian, Capitulo 68.
The telephone rang, and when he answered the phone, Gregorio listened in numb disbelief to his father. His cousin, Zeke, had been preparing to depart on a trip to the United States and Europe when one of the carriage horses kicked him and snapped his leg.
Luckily,
his father said,
the leg was seen to immediately, so the doctors do not think he will lose it, but he will need months of therapy and recuperation.
Is this not peculiar?
He asked his father.
For the future keeper to be so badly injured only a few weeks before his 30th birthday.
You have great insight, Gregorio.
His father said.
I am blessed to have you as a son. It is unusual, but not unprecedented. Zeke's blessing when he became the last resort indicated that he would face some unusual difficulties. I would like you to fly here to Estolia to take over some of his duties while he recuperates.
I have developed a great working relationship with my assistant,
Gregorio said, adding reluctantly.
I would hate to have to replace her with someone else at this stage. Is it at all possible for her to travel to Estolia with me?
By all means, bring her with you.
His father said distractedly.
I will explain when you arrive exactly what I think is going on with your cousin, but I believe it will turn out okay in the end.
But you are not certain?
Gregorio felt a twinge of unease.
There is an ambiguity.
This is why you wish for me to come home?
Gregorio asked.
Yes, Gregorio, this is why.
When do you wish for the two of us to fly out?
Justice Albans will take over your position in Barcelona on Thursday.
Something in his father's tone caught his attention.
Justice? You want me to come home permanently?
His voice was sharp with the realization. Though he was pleased to be recalled to Estolia, he was also wary when he considered what his father was really trying to tell him.
Yes, son. I believe you need to return to Estolia. The royal stables have an opening. I think it is best if you fly home Friday. This will give you 2 weeks before your birthday.
Gregorio had a sinking suspicion.
You plan to force my hand?
Silence.
I have long since decided that I will not allow any but the most spiritual of connections to decide my hand.
Gregorio insisted. His father knew this already, but he felt the need to reiterate the decision he made just after his Bendelora.
We will discuss this when you arrive. The spirit has moved me to insist upon your recall. I felt the greatest of disquiet when your cousin's leg was almost severed. You must return home. However, the beginning and end of my urgency is seeing to your return to Estolia. I will honor above all others the impulse of the spirit, and so long as there is no contradiction, after I will honor your preferences. Will you have faith in me and in deity?
Yes, Father. I can do nothing else. You are, after all, the keeper.
And you are third in line to the throne, next in line to the position of keeper. You are needed at home.
His father's voice was firm. Wraith was working on correspondence with the Armo of Hath. Despite the great difficulties involved, he wanted to establish an Estolian stable in his country. If they could work out a deal, it would be a tremendous coup for the stable, and a major transaction with as many as 14 horses being sold at one time. Her telephone rang, and she picked it up just as Gregorio came into the office. It was the Armo of Hath. She pulled out her translation sheet, which helped her to remember the most critical words.
We have discussed the proposal, and my counterpart, the Lion of Hath, has declared we must act on this now, today even. As such, the lion and the 7 leaders, plus their wives, will arrive in the morning. Can you accommodate us? We are aware this is inconvenient.
Certainly. I shall let our stable manager know you will be here. As I understand it, you will take care of the actual transport from Barcelona to Hath for all of the horses you acquire?
Yes, the lion and I strongly feel our opportunity will disappear if we were to wait until our originally scheduled visit in 3 weeks. I will miss seeing you, my dear, as I must remain in Hath, but I feel as if we will meet at some point.
After she got the last of the details, she hung up and swiveled around to tell Gregorio the updated schedule. He was frowning at her, having understood none of her conversation in the language of Hath.
Gregorio, the contingent from Hath, decided to move up their visit. They'll be here tomorrow.
Instead of looking excited, Gregorio looked like he barely heard her. He blinked a couple of times and then frowned, clearly focusing on what she said rather than on whatever was bothering him.
Say that again, Wraith. I was a bit distracted.
She explained the conversation she had and watched the excitement take hold in his face. Whatever was worrying him must not be too bad, she reasoned to herself, if he could focus on this exciting transaction. He leaned forward and pressed a button, saying,
I need Josiah!
For the next hour, Josiah, Gregorio, and Wraith walked through the different stables and selected the animals to be presented to the delegation the next day. Then they called a meeting with all the stable hands, explaining the need for extra work. Wraith added, as they wrapped up the meeting,
I'll get us a catered breakfast and lunch for tomorrow, and everyone will get a bonus.
Once they were back at the house, Wraith waited until after their dinner was served to ask,
What was on your mind earlier, Gregorio? You looked quite serious.
I have been asked to take over the royal stables in Estolia.
He said gently. It was almost 8 months since he first walked into her office at the Jenner Corporation, and she enjoyed working for him. Her eyes filled with tears at the thought that he was telling her that her job was over. She had hoped he would extend her 1-year contract with him indefinitely. His brow wrinkled when he caught sight of her tears.
I told them I wanted to bring you with me.
He clarified. She felt an easing in her heart. Wiping the tears off her face, she looked down at the plate of half-eaten food, working to calm the tremble in her voice, and said,
I don't want to stop working for you, Gregorio.
I was concerned about whether you would be willing to make another move so soon after your last one. It is a great honor for me to be asked to do this. The Andestolian breed comes from Estolia, so this is the foundation for the entire breed. The Zacarian stables here in Barcelona are second only to the royal stable.
When will we move, and what about Adelphia and Zorro?
Her mare and Gregorio's stallion. They had been in Barcelona only a week when Adelphia yanked her lead rope out of the hands of the stable boy who was leading her towards a paddock, and she had cantered over to where Wraith was standing on the porch to the stable offices. In minutes they diagnosed love at first sight between the mare and Wraith, and she was told Adelphia was to be hers, a bonus for her willingness to work odd hours and live in at the stable residence. Since then she had learned that Gregorio had no choice but to give her the filly. She would not bond with anyone else. He smiled broadly.
They will be transported with us. We will fly to Estolia on Friday. We will go by cargo airplane so we can accompany the 2 horses.
The promises of deity and the royal succession, benefits we see, divine intervention, witnessed and verified through each capitulo. Our faith tested, tried, the promises will flow.